Good morning, colleagues.
Good morning.
Nice to see you here this morning. Looking extra happy. I know Julian brought gold for us. But this morning, our first presenter is Honorable Dr. Virginia Albert Poyet, Minister for the Public Service, Labor, and Gender Relations. Honorable, are you ready?
Yes, good morning. And in fact, I want to start off by congratulating Julian Alfred for putting St. Lucia again on the world stage, having brought gold medal in her 100-meter race. And I am even more excited to know that this day was the day that we chose to have what we call the Minister's Top Performer Award. And we did have that ceremony on the 3rd of August 2024. That was the first official Minister's Public Top Performer Award that we put in place. And that was supposed to have been held sometime in June when we had Public Service Week of activities. But we postponed it, and luck had us on the way where this happened to be the same day that we got our first gold medal at the Olympics. So we had that ceremony on Saturday evening where all ministries had to identify the top performer, top public servant in the respective ministry. And we gave away 18 awards to the top performers. The top performers were identified by their respective ministries. However, we had an independent panel that examined the recommendations made from the different ministries to select the top performer overall in the public service. And that top performer was revealed on the evening of the celebration at the Financial Center. And the Prime Minister was the one who actually made the presentation to the top performer, who came from the department, the electoral department. And this gentleman, we are hoping that at some point he will make himself public and he will be able to speak to the public. And we had other persons who received their awards from their respective ministries. We were graced with the presence of quite a few ministers of government and permanent secretaries that actually rewarded the top performers. Many times we hear about public service and we hear sometimes the negative things, but we do not hear the positive things that they do. And I believe that we can get people motivated, we can boost their morale by looking at the positive side and reward those who have done well. Our theme to advance the public service is basically speaking to public sector modernization, repositioning and rebranding the public service to improve service delivery. And we are working very hard at that. At this point, we are trying to see whether we can secure a common space where all government departments that deal with management of the public service in one location. We are just about completing a strategic plan, an operations manual, and an implementation and action plan for the public service. We are also looking at reviewing the legislation that governs the public service. And these legislations have been around for about 40 years. So you see a lot of the things that we do in the public service are based on laws that were established over 40 years ago. And I think it's time that we revisit these legislations. So this is what I want to share with the St. Lucian public, that we are working very hard to improve the service delivery that we have to the St. Lucians.
Minister.
Hold on, Chair, Mike.
One, Madam Minister. Emancipation Day has just passed us, and we heard of the implementation of the livable wage. How has that been going so far from your perspective as a Minister of Labor?
Okay, I'll try to speak to the language of minimum wage. because many people will tell you the minimum wage is too small for them to live on it. So, but we had a committee established about 2 years ago, the Minimum Equal and Minimum Wage Commission, which is mandated by the Labor Act. And after we established that committee, they went to work, and they actually looked at a lot of what happened regionally. They look at the ILO and what ILO speaks to, what we call a minimum livable wage. And they used the formula that is used by the international body. And they arrived at what we consider to be a minimum and livable wage in St. Lucia. And the Prime Minister had the pleasure of making the official announcement on Emancipation Day, 1st of August, that the minimum wage will be effective as of the 1st of October 2024. And that speaks to $1,131. That is the minimum wage. Nobody who works for a full month should earn less than that amount when they have their take-home pay. For persons who work in areas, for example, in the hotels, where they have service charge and other commissions, that is not included in the minimum wage. It has to be added after you have awarded the minimum wage. So whatever commissions and service charges that comes in, it must be on top of that minimum wage. And we know some people may have issues with that, but that is what the legislation will speak to. So we have persons who work in the hotels and they get different service charges and so on. And I am not saying yes, it was happening. I don't have the evidence to prove that. But if it was included as part of their wages, then it is no more. They have to include it after they have given them their minimum wage, and that would be on top of their basic wage. So there are many persons who are earning less than the minimum wage. We cannot tell you exactly the amount they were earning, but we know from now on the minimum wage must be awarded at a level where it was stated by the Prime Minister as of October 1st. So the different employers have the time now to make the adjustments on their books to see how we are going to ensure that persons get that minimum wage. We also want the public to understand that when we say a minimum wage, it means you have to work for the month. And don't say, well, I didn't work for all the month, but because the minimum wage is X amount, whether you work for the month or not, you have to get that minimum wage. It also carries a daily rate, which is $52 and a few cents, and then an hourly rate. So you know if you work for 2 weeks, you cannot expect to get the full salary of $1,131. These are things we have to educate. And we have about 2 months to deal with it in the media, to explain to people how this will work out for them. But we have a few thousand people who will benefit from that.
Are there any plans by the government to take any steps, measures to counter the possibility of employers actually laying off workers because we know that is very possible. The Prime Minister did allude to it in his address, his Emancipation Day address, that he had heard whispers that some employers are planning to do this. So what measures is the government going to take to probably curtail that?
Okay, now the Minimum Wage Commission, we have actually renew their term, so they will still be operating so that they monitor the implementation of the minimum wage. They will get the staff support and the support of the Labor Department to monitor what is happening in the labor force. And we will be monitoring some employers to find out, are they laying off workers because of the minimum wage? And that may require government going in to find out whether it is a situation where economically they cannot afford it, or whether they just feel, well, the profit level has dropped and therefore they need to release workers. And we will engage the employers on a one-on-one And government itself will have to find additional money to pay persons who are working for government below the minimum wage. So government too is an employer. So we want the cooperation of other employers to continue to employ persons and give them a decent salary to go home. Because if you want your workers to perform, you want them motivated, you don't have to underpay them. Because sometimes some workers can find ways to beat the system. And therefore, we have to find what is fair. And if they know what their minimum wage is, we expect them to give their employers a fair day's work for the pay that they are doing. So we have to work with the workers too, because it's not just a matter of I'm getting my pay, because we know sometimes some of the workers can be very not too honest in giving the employer a fair day's work for a fair day's pay. So we have to work with both sides.
What's the status of the negotiations with the different trade unions? I know the PWA had complained. I think some of the members, they complained to the organization who would have written to the GNT that the negotiations, the pace is too slow. So what of that? What is happening? Okay, now I can express the sentiments of the Prime Minister and likewise myself that we want these negotiations brought to a close. It's about 2 years into the triennium, and if you do not deal with salary increase or conditions of service in a timely way, the employees will be disadvantaged. So the Prime Minister has asked the negotiating team to speed up the process. However, the team was waiting for some policy decisions from the Prime Minister and myself, and we have had some discussions with them. So they are clear on the direction that they have to go, especially in areas where there are a lot of different allowances that the employees were asking for. So we had to factor that into what that would mean for government in terms of finances. So the Department of Finance had to do the calculations to determine how much more money government would have to raise in order to meet the demand or the request from the trade unions. The Department of Finance has since met the negotiating team, explained the financial implications that this increase that were being requested from the trade unions, what it would mean for the government purse. So now they are getting the direction from the Prime Minister to say we have only so much, and therefore that is what they have available to negotiate with the unions. They have since gotten back in touch with the unions, because I got a letter from the trade unions complaining that they find there was a moment of silence. They had not heard anything. And I think we are on the same page, and we have asked the negotiating team to speed up the process. By what date would, the government, central government would want this ended?
Well, Christmas is a time when a lot of people want something nice. They want to celebrate. They want to bring things to a close. And we are hoping that negotiations do not pass Christmas, that it ends before Christmas. Okay?
Yeah, Madam Minister, just briefly, the aspect of overtime, we have, say, the construction workers, we have the security workers. How would you be able to factor that into a payment, the overtime rate? Would there be an overtime rate, or would it just continue as the regular rate?
That's you mean because of the minimum wage, or?
Yeah, because of...
No, to me, overtime, we don't speak to, overtime is overtime. And unless government reviews the rate for overtime in different sectors, we will not be touching that. We only say your minimum wage should be X, and therefore your overtime will be added to that. We know there are many people who do earn overtime, and that overtime, there is a maximum time that you are paid overtime, and anything in excess of that time, you will not be paid in cash, but you will get it in lieu of leave. So they give you some days leave to compensate you for the additional hours that you give as overtime.
Okay. And on a wider subject, we know St. Lucia just celebrating, a historic victory. As a young girl, first female to bring such honor to the island. How much, as a Minister of Gender Relations, how much does that reflect to young girls, not just young girls, but young people in general? This dashing female has brought so much pride and joy to the nation.
Okay, I do not want to give it the slant of just a young girl, but I want to give it the slant of a young St. Lucian. Yeah. Because once you start saying girl, then the boys start feeling, well, what about us? But I think we have to take it one step further, where Laverne Spencer was the one that paved the way for getting at the level of the Olympics. I make no apologies for saying she's from my constituency in Babolo, and she tried her best. And I think Julian Alfred do make reference to her, because sometimes we forget the people who actually start the process. And I'm very pleased that she has followed and taken it to a higher level, where she has brought gold for St. Lucia. And I'm hoping that she continues along that line to be a role model for young people in St. Lucia, because many times they put their energy into negative activities. And here we have a young woman, a young person who has invested her time and energy in improving herself, not just on the track, but she has also improved herself academically to put St. Lucia on the map. The good thing too about it is that Julian did not wait until she got a gold medal to establish her foundation. And this is somebody who is willing to give back. She came to St. Lucia, she established, she launched her foundation, and then she left. And she went now to get the gold. So I applaud her for that, for wanting to give back to her country for the support that she has been getting so far. I know St. Lucians are all excited, they are elated, and they were celebrating even before she got the gold. So I know they are all in slow motion in St. Lucia. We tell them, do not go in slow motion. We want all St. Lucians to remain at the speed that Julian ran, so that we continue to improve St. Lucia.
Madam Minister, as the Minister for the Public Service, we have the St. Lucia Medical and Dental Association representing the doctors who are a bit concerned. They have written to the OKEU board, and I think they're having a meeting with you all this morning, with concerns about the lack of resources at the hospital, which is really preventing them from actually carrying out their jobs properly, and also generally, with not being able to deliver proper health care to citizens. I wanted to get your thoughts on what's happening at OKEU.
Okay, now interestingly, as you said, you got wind that we'll be meeting them this morning. But prior to that, we had already brought management of OKEU and St. Jude to a meeting with Cabinet just a few weeks ago to address the very issues that were raised by the Medical and Dental Association. So we were one step ahead in terms of addressing the matter. And the Prime Minister has made a commitment to invest a lot more in providing some of the supplies and services that they need at the hospital. So I'm very confident that coming out of the meeting today, that we will see some greater improvement in the matter. Once a situation has reached almost a crisis level, it will not change overnight. And I don't want people to believe that by tomorrow you'll see a big transformation at OKEU and the way people do things. But I can give them the assurance that the government is very mindful of that, and the Prime Minister has made commitment. Even the first meeting we had, he did commit to additional resources. So it's a matter of the process, and we need to expedite the process. I actually spoke to the PS of Health at the awards ceremony on Saturday, and I did draw something to her attention that we need to expedite the process. So I will be fully supportive of any suggestions coming from Cabinet to improve the situation at OKEU.
The meeting, you said the meeting was with the SLMDA or with the board? Which meeting?
No, the meeting was with management of OKEU as well as St. Jude's. So we were especially dealing with the emergency department. That area we have great concern, about the level of service that people receive when they enter the emergency department. And the Prime Minister did commit additional resources to help them expedite the process. But one of the things that was raised about medical care is the service, the level of service and care. And this is a very soft skill. These are soft skills that people do not pay much attention to. And we felt that they need to do a lot more to train the staff. As you are aware, we have had some nurses who have left the system. They have traveled to greener pastures. Government cannot prevent them from traveling. But our responsibility is to continue to train additional persons to replace these people and then bring a new culture into the medical field where these new persons will get new training, new orientation, and so on. And I was speaking to some medical experts in Martinique, and you would have heard of my ordeal not too long ago. And what they indicated is that St. Lucia has more sophisticated equipment than what they have in Martinique. But our people are not trained to use the equipment. So I think that is an area we have to focus heavily on, training our people. I recall when we commissioned OKEU, I was fortunate to be part of the group that did a tour of the entire hospital before people had occupied it. And when I saw the type of equipment and everything, that was like a state of the art. But if we do not have persons who are sufficiently trained and skillful in using these equipment, then they might just be there for decoration and so on. So it is something that the government has to pay close attention to, as well as our medical practitioners.
We know that nurses are living, but are you seeing the same with the doctors? Is there
No,
a trend?
we are not seeing the same with the doctors, and we have seen a slowdown, a reduction in the rate at which the nurses were living. So at least now we see more of them are staying in. Based on the trend, there is a reduction, not as many as how it started. Maybe I think they started off with 100 and something, and I think within the last year or few months, it's just about 8 of them who have left. That's what the statistics show.
Good morning, Minister.
Yes.
As St. Lucia struggles with the scourge of violent crime at a rate of almost 2 homicides a week right now, could Julian Alfred be the inspiration? How does this government turn Julian Alfred into the inspiration that draws youth away from that shameful life of violent crime? And could that Julian Alfred effect have an even wider effect on young entrepreneurs, academics, agriculturists, proving to them that maybe even though they don't have the best facilities and the best gear, that the little fish have always had what it takes to fry the big fish?
Yes. I believe that Julian Alfred's victory at the Olympics should serve as a form of inspiration for young people. And the government has to take advantage of that opportunity, that moment in time. And if we miss it, we may be falling short. And we have to use Julian Alfred to help propel the young people, help them, drive them into a different direction. And I think we have to make maximum use of her presence. I heard people talking about, yes, they need a holiday. Yes, I know our St. Lucians like a nice time. But the holiday is not going to solve our problems. What we need is to see how we can get her to be like an ambassador, to talk to young people, go around the island and give back and share with them the sacrifices that she made to reach there. And they too can do better. They too can surpass her achievement. And I think that will motivate them. Government will have to put the resources to support our young people to channel their energies in that direction. And if I may recall, when we had Derek Walcott became the second Nobel Prize winner in St. Lucia, many St. Lucians may not have been aware of that. But as somebody who has been involved in education, we used to have thousands of St. Lucians going to Sir Arthur for evening classes because they were so motivated that we had the highest per capita in terms of Nobel laureates. And therefore, they started improving themselves, going for evening classes to get their diploma, their certificates, and so on. I don't know if we have lost that momentum. So the same way, I think Julian Alfred will galvanize that kind of momentum among our young people, and especially young girls too.
Well, the question I'm really asking here is, are we looking to have plans? Because you mentioned Walcott, and Walcott was in the artistic community. There's a feeling that Walcott was seen by the successive government as a one-off, that this thing will not happen again. So the investment from government and from the private sector did not reflect any confidence in anyone else in the island to achieve that or to even come close. We are in a situation where, are we going to be in a situation where we're going to elevate Julian Alfred to this Walcott-like status without doing the investment that gives us 100 more Julian Alfreds, the way we did not get 100 more Derek Walcotts?
Yes, but I'm saying, I think if we made some mistakes in the past, it is an opportunity for us to learn from that mistake and then see how we are going to invest in our young people so that they can follow suit from Julian Alfred. And as you know, the government has invested in Julian Alfred, not just because she's winner now, and I don't know if I'm privy to announce what I know the government has put in to support her to reach where she is. And it's not just the little 150 that was sent to her in Jamaica. So I know if it is a statement that has to be made public, I don't want to be the first to say it, but I'm aware that they have put in quite a bit of resources. Then we have the local business, like First National Bank has been supporting her all along the way. So now it is even more necessary that we have a planned action and not spontaneous events on how we are going to use that energy to help other people to rally around that movement. We have to make it a movement for our young people and don't let it be a one-off and that's it. We have Naomi London that is already following suit, and there are many others that are coming. So we have to create that path. It may be a trail for us to follow. And our young men, we want to find activities to energize our young men. And if you notice, I always lament the fact that having been responsible for Home Affairs in the last 2.5 years that I was Minister with Home Affairs under my portfolio, that Borderley Correctional Facility has 580-something inmates, and about 14 of them are women. So why our boys are spending so much of their energy, there are a few young men, but majority of them are young people, all the time behind bars? We have to find something else for them to do so that they can use their time and be very productive in the country. So I want to use Julian Alfred as the stepping stone to bring both men and women into a new direction. I think it can happen, and I think the government has what it takes and the commitment to drive that process. Thank you, ma'am.
On your constituency now, at the launch of the Talvin housing development, you announced that there were plans to create a Babono village or town, as you put it. Could you provide more information on what that could mean or what that could look like?
Okay, well, it is said that Babono has all the facilities that a town or a village has. There are one or few little things we are missing, and I believe that the time is right for us to upgrade that community to a town or a village. We have been in consultation with the Minister of Local Government and Housing, and they are actually coining the concept. And for those who are familiar with Babono, they would not realize that there is an area in Babono called Babono Central, and it's actually a crisscross road that takes you to north, south, east, and west. And this is where Babono actually started. The first school, the first church, the first everything started in that area. And now we are going to put all the facilities and the amenities around to define it as a little town for the people in Babono. So one of the major projects that we will undertake there will be we have to redesign the Babono Multipurpose Center that will almost become an government administrative building. So it is not just a place where you just have shows and activity. There will be government offices and government services. We have to bring in banking facilities. We have to bring shops and stores and supermarkets right there. And we are going to develop our bus terminals where people will be dropping off from there and then take shuttle into the wider community. Babono has about 18 small communities, and that is a wide constituency to serve. And this town will definitely bring life. The other thing that will contribute to the town is the north-south bound traffic. Many people get stuck up on the highway having to pass through town, but now they are fixing the road from Babono to Grozile. And once they fix that road, then there'll be free flow of traffic from north to south. You don't have to go through the highway. You don't have to go through Castries if you are going to the mall and you are going to the airport or you're going to the south of the island. So that Babono will be that freeway for traffic to flow in that direction. So I'm looking forward to that big plan. And the Talvan land is one where we were fortunate that through the Proud program, we were able to give the persons who actually lived on the property. Some of them have lived there for over 30 years. Government was able to award the land to them at $2.50 a square foot. And that land, after development by the new developer now, will go at $14.50 a square foot. So that is a huge savings for the residents in Talvan. There were 73 lots up for sale, and from information reaching me, all are sold already. And we are hoping that we can put 2 of the high-rise buildings that the Ministry of Housing is planning to do in the Beausejour area in Grozile. We will try and put 2 of these in that development there. So, and this development is just about 2 minutes drive from Babono Central. So we are going to combine these two to bring that central activity into Babono.
So, Babono Central, what location exactly would you say there are 4 roads?
Yeah,
So-
when you reach the junction in Babono by the Multipurpose Center, you drive from Castries, so that's the west. And if you go straight, you find yourself into Fontasso. That will take you into Debara and Grantans. If you swing left, you will go north, which takes you to Lacroix. It can take you to Gara, Bogies, and right into Grozile or back into Grand Riviere. And if you swing right, it takes you to Kakojiwa, back to the Mon, Castries, and then to Vieux-Fort. So that area there, right, we are trying to create a roundabout there that takes you to any direction you want. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
You have a red jumper.
I knew that was coming.
Made me happy. And anytime I see a red thing, I'm happy. Yes, today is Julian Alfred. I have to have my national color, you know what I mean? And the color of the flag is gold, not yellow. Gold. The flag. You got it right. The color of the flag is gold. Gold. Let's get the colors right. Ladies and gentlemen, the press, good morning. I guess you all have joined in the celebration of the achievements of Julian Alfred. I must tell you, it's really one of the proudest days of my life. I'm very proud of what Julian has done. Julian has reached the pinnacle of performance as far as athletics is concerned. As you know, the 100-meter race is the most prestigious race in the Olympics. I do not intend to seek or to claim any credit. I think the credit goes to Julian Alfred, who has been persistent, who's had the discipline, who's had the commitment to do what she did and become a world champion. So in terms of looking for credit, don't expect me to claim any credit. I will not. I also want to tell you that we think that Julian should be afforded the highest level of recognition possible. There's going to be a public holiday, which I'll announce at some point, and the cabinet will meet on the appropriate recognition for Miss Alfred. But I can tell you, the government and people of the government is very proud, and we think we should use Miss Alfred as a model, what discipline, what commitment, what hard work can do. And understand that products of St. Lucia can do well. She started in St. Lucia, she continued in Jamaica. So products of the region, real products of the region can do very well. Miss Alfred started in Cicero. Then she moved over to St. Catherine's School in Jamaica. And then she went to Texas, where she applied her trade. So she should be a symbol of commitment, of discipline, of being able to stay focused, of looking at the cup half full instead of always half empty, of not allowing negativity and envy to confuse you, and stay focused. That's what she is. And that's what makes me even happier, that somebody from Cicero can reach these heights. Commitment, hard work, dedication. So we're very proud of her.
Okay, so but we've seen that St. Lucia now has the potential to create.
And also, before that, so I'm sorry, I also want to recognize all the other people who took part in the Olympics. All of them, from the sailor to the 400 meter to the other body to the swimmer. All of those, I want to tell them they made us proud. They did not medal, but they made us proud. I'm very proud of them. All of those who took part, and the organizers, the people in the athletics, in the Olympics Association, in the committee, everybody. Twatine, again, a local coach. He started this whole thing. We have to recognize him. From St. Lucia. From St. Lucia. Started in Conway. And he could nurture her. Because there were times when she was feeling despondent, and then she raised herself. You understand? She raised herself. So many people have to be complimented for this. So don't expect me to get into the thing about who gave what, who gave this. We've passed that stage. She's world class. She's at the top of her game. We're gonna keep her there. We're looking forward for her to win the 200 meter race. Looking forward for her to get gold there also. Yes.
Okay, so yes, we have the potential to create world-class athletes. What is your administration going to do to ensure that let's say, by the next time we have Olympics, we can produce a few more Julian Alfreds across the sporting arena?
I'm sorry you caused me to have to answer you. I would have preferred not to answer you, but I have to because you asked me the question. We went to Parliament and we borrowed $80 million. $80 million ostensibly for Cricket World Cup and to improve facilities for the island. We were condemned by the opposition. Letters were written to the IMF and to the World Bank to castigate us, to speak about how we were irresponsible. Now you brought it up, but you brought it up, I have to answer you. That money would have been used to upgrade the Darren Sammy Cricket Ground, to make it a world-class, to ensure it's a world-class facility that brought thousands of tourists into the country for the World Cup. That will attract even more people for the CPL. And the rest of the money is going to be put in facilities. This started in the Mindofila Park. Go to Mindofila Park, you'll see tremendous work has happened on the Mindofila Park. Then the work happening in the Marshall grounds. Then we did work in Grosley. Every facility in the country is going to be enhanced because one of the biggest issues relates to sports is facilities. This is why we borrowed $80 million. That was an investment in sports. That was an investment in the young people of this country. We thought it was necessary that we could invest it because we had faith and confidence in them. When we borrowed the $80 million, You understand? But all sorts of short-sighted comments were made because we were putting politics before the young people of the country. We were putting politics before sports. We were putting our survival as politicians before sports. But I'm pleased that you asked me this question about facilities, because you can't improve facilities. You can't improve facilities without money. You can't improve facilities without money. And this is why we have the same professional football league, where we are having 17 teams at different levels. At one level, they're going to get paid a stipend to play football, developing the holistic footballer. He has to have some discipline, he has to have some academics to get to where he is. This is why we have the elite program, the elite sports program, where there is a desk in the Ministry of Sports to ensure, again, that we get sportsmen, we can nurture them from the start. This is why we have the youth economy that can give finance to sports people when they start to get their gears and to get the equipment. So it's a holistic situation as far as young people and sports are concerned.
Yes, sir.
You finish?
Yes, sir. We've heard this saying that, beyond every dark cloud is a silver lining. And we've always, compared Julian to a beacon of hope. Now that she's reached that pinnacle in her success, do you see her being emulated? That is something that young people want to aspire to. You mentioned the youth economy, but she's also like a ray of light to the younger people, because despite all the tremors and all the disgruntlement, someone has risen up to take the country to a higher stage. Is it something that we really would to aspire to for young people to emulate?
Exactly. And this is why we must assist her. We must assist her with positivity. We must assist her with less negativity. We must assist the young people with being more positive, looking at the glass half full most of the time. Too many times for our own selfish reasons, we spread propaganda, misinformation, and untruths for our own selfish political reasons. That's why we must look at it. We must look at the glass half full all the time. We must encourage young people. We must encourage them. We must find ways and means where we can assist them. We can assist them in a situation where they can find their worth and not be confused with propaganda and misinformation. And this is why I've represented the constituency for 1997. I have never put sports and politics. Never. And can be on the record. I never win my elections for playing games with sports people and young people. Never. You understand? So, because I believe that young people and sports are too important for us to. I could give you stories about what I've done for sports people in this country. Stories, reams of stories. What I do and what I continue to do. Sometimes I don't even go to the tournaments. I don't even attend, because I believe that young people should be allowed to be young. They should be allowed to make up their own minds. And I've reaped the benefits of that. I mean, there are people in this room, can bend their head down now, who have benefited from sports initiatives in my constituency. You understand? All the time. So my history is clear. So all the propaganda, the lies, and the misinformation, it doesn't go anywhere, because the people know. So when it comes to youth and sports, they know where I'm coming from. So when I see people go on the radio and see that they had things in my constituency, I didn't get involved, I ignore it. Because that's cheap politics. Cheap. I ignore it. Because the young people know. Up to yesterday, we had a donation of dozens of sporting gear, of football gear to the young people of my constituency. I don't know who they gave it to. I don't know how they divided it. All I did, I made it available, and the Marshall Football League did the rest. This is how I operate. So I agree with you. We must take sports as an indication of how we can reach the highest heights if we have commitment, discipline, and principles.
Would you now say that more emphasis would be placed on the school curriculum? Would we revisit the school curriculum
We have
to make sports something that's
things
much more
that
emphasis?
things that we haven't publicized. We actually have a junior schools sports football football competition, not competition, not only a tournament, a training program done by Coach Charles and Coach Jean happening now. In fact, last year I sponsored one in my constituency. Nobody knew. I didn't go in front of the television and advertise it. I funded it. Entire sports program for the young people in my constituency. You understand? You know, we built a playing facility in Pave when I was ridiculed. You understand? Unfortunately, and this is why I made the point that when facilities are built for the people of this country, anybody, there's absolutely no compromise when these things get damaged. And I want to tell you that we're going to be renovating the James Belgrave Court, and we're also going to be building a steel pan to bring back the Diamond Steel Orchestra in the constituency. That's going to be happening momentarily, anytime now.
I'm happy you spoke about facilities. I think it's certainly a shame that a country who has now produced a Olympic champion does not have a world-class, I could say, athletic stadium. Could we see the what is now the George, I guess technically the George Odlum Stadium return to its glory before your term complete?
I tell you something. I don't want to boast. I don't want to boast. When we negotiated the Saudi loan and we put in a vulnerability clause in there, it was to complete St. Jude and to do some work on St. Jude's. You remember the hue and cry that you reported when about this money, say how I can spend 1.5 million. You remember what you reported? I never answered because I knew, I'll tell you something. Let me tell you something. The problem with some people is they forget history. They've forgotten their history. Look at the governments that have promoted playing facilities in this country. Think about it. Darren Sammy Ground, we got lambasted for it. There was an Australian, and you young journalists, I really appreciate you all, but I think you should look at the history. So when politicians and their surrogates make statements, you could double check it. Who built the Darren Sammy Ground? You know how we got castigated for the Darren Sammy Ground? Because there was supposed to be an Australian tour coming, and we had to say they couldn't come. I got cast. They said I was in problems with Mario Michel because of that. You know, this is the history you don't know. The Labour Party, and I don't want to say that this morning, but you forced me to say it. The Labour Party is the one that built the Darren Sammy cricket ground. The Labour Party is the one who got the George Odlum Stadium. The Labour Party. We are the ones who did work in the Philip Master Ground in Vieux-Fort, the stadium in Soufrière. History. So we haven't got to run away and say that this is what we're doing for sports and things. So our history, the Labour Party on sports, and our history on young people is clear. We were the party of universal secondary education. We are the party of universal primary school education. Again, there's a history that we've forgotten. We were the party for it. Of course. It hadn't been perfect, of course. But we were the party. When we built the Dame Pullet School, that caused children not to go to school for a half day. That children went to school for half a day. A shift system. The Labour Party is the one that abolished it. The Labour Party is the one that caused universal secondary education. When we were castigated and criticized, all we said, let the children get at least the basic education and youth. And we are the party who are going to create TVET, technical vocational education, with the commissioning of 4 TVET schools. We are the party that's doing that. We are the party. These are facts. These are not things I'm imagining. These are not things I'm saying without any figures. You know, sometimes people just say things, no figures, or this happened. No historical underpinning, no saying it happened at that time. Just say it. But I'm giving you facts, which I always ask you to fact check me. I always ask you that, fact check me. I don't get involved in emotion and just saying things, Trump-wise. I don't do that. I say things that you can prove. So when you go into all these emotional these emotional things and just saying things without any basis, look at the economy of this country. We've had 3 years of growth. 3 years of growth. That's a fact. Unemployment has never been low in this. That's a fact. Right now, you see people begin to question figures. Suddenly, we begin to question figures. All in a sudden. So the World Bank is wrong, the IMF is wrong, the ECCB is wrong. I won't even tell you what the ECCB is predicting for St. Lucia's economic growth this year. Fact. Not me. So I want you to understand that we cannot deal with things from an emotional point of view. We have to deal with things from a factual point of view. And the facts show, and the figures show that this country is doing better than it has done for a long, long time. Unemployment has never been as low as it is now. Fact. That doesn't mean everybody's working. It doesn't mean that. But the fact is, unemployment has never been as low as it has been for a decade. That's a fact.
But, well, Mr. Prime Minister, I don't think you answered my question, my
What did you
original
ask?
question. My original question was, will this administration return the George Ojan
I
Stadium
just told you that we borrowed money
Right,
from the Saudis
but will it
to
be finished?
complete St. Jude.
But will it be
I
finished?
can't tell you. I'm not
Okay.
an engineer.
All right,
although you all get annoyed when I say I'm not an engineer. I'm not an engineer. But the fact is that we are going to use the rest of the money to complete St. Jude.
fair.
But it's the government, and that is why. And that is when you compete St. Jude with the stadium. And that is why I told you. That's why the $1.5 million was put in the budget to begin preliminary work on St. Jude,
Okay, fair.
which was criticized.
Fair enough.
On the stadium,
Fair.
which was criticized.
Perhaps you can answer the question for us about how St. Jude's restoration is going,
Going very well.
and when we can see an opening of some kind.
You see, I'll tell you something. When I say things, you see, let me tell you my problem. My problem is that
Just wanted to know when it's
I can't tell you. I don't know. I'm not, you don't want to say that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a contractor. I have to wait. There are serious problems. There are supply chain issues. Supply chain issues. Serious supply chain issues. And again, they want you to believe that St. Lucia is just a little part of the world and Pierre and the government. This morning, the U.S. stock market has one of its largest slumps in history. Some of the Dow Jones went down by 839 points. I guess I caused that, right? I guess I'm the one who caused it. Now, there are serious supply chain issues. Coming through the Panama Canal, we have problems. The Chinese freight has gone up substantially. We have a looming war between Israel and is left the Palestinians now is gone now to Lebanon and Iran. Iran. That's what we're facing. But we stay here and we just say things. So the reason why I can't tell you about that, because there is supply chain issues. Things are ordered from abroad and they may not come at the appropriate time.
Will we still get the opening of St. Jude's before the next election?
All things being equal, That is the intention.
On the matter of hospitals, the SLMDA.
Yes, the SLMDA wrote a letter which I'm going to meet them this afternoon on Tuesday to discuss the letter. I've said before, I want no conflict with any doctor or any nurse or any health worker. The SLMDA they've had concerns before. These concerns are not new. We understand it, we empathize with them, and we're going to meet them to see if we can have an approach to alleviate these circumstances. The first issue was the emergency services at the hospital. I met with them, and we decided that we're going to immediately look for some more space for the emergency ward. Immediately. That work is supposed to start anytime now. I empathize with the nurses and the doctors. I understand their concerns. So I want to assure you, Mr. Romulus, that we're going to meet with them tomorrow, and I'm going to use the government's best efforts to alleviate the condition. But we understand what we're saying, and we understand what they're saying, and we want to alleviate the condition, but we want to work together with them.
So what are your thoughts on your cabinet minister's statement at the SLP Youth AGM?
My who?
Cabinet minister, Mr. Frederick, who I think he insinuated that the SLMDA president wrote the letter because I guess she's acting on behalf of the opposition. Your thoughts on that? Because
I tell you something. We've got so sensitive these days when it comes. We got very sensitive. The amount of things that the opposition says, you haven't heard the amount of the level of misinformation, lies, calumny. What I heard, I don't condone what the minister said. I don't condone it. And if I have to call him out, I'll call him out. I am never one that will allow any of my ministers to say what the opposition says. Never. What I'm saying to you is if the minister said that, if the minister implies that, I think the minister should not have implied it. And if he did, I want to tell you, I believe he should not have said it. Right? If that's what he meant, if that's how you interpreted what he meant.
no, well, that's what he insinuated, and he said that he had the documents and whatever, and he would bring it out on his show. So,
Well,
again,
as I'm saying to you, if the minister implied that it was political, I don't agree with him. I don't think it was political. I don't agree with him. I don't agree with him, and I'm going to call out after. I've done it before. I'm not condoning things, everything. I always ask for proof. I don't allow anybody, because there's a thing. In this world of misinformation and AI, people say and do whatever. I don't allow myself to be carried away when one person says something, because I always want proof. You understand? So if you say so, the minister says so. I think you should not say it. And it's a statement that probably was a little too emotional. We must understand that the minister himself has been under tremendous attack from because let me tell you what I find strange. The opposition can say whatever they want. The opposition says whatever they want. I don't listen to opposition radio. When people tell me what the opposition says, I wonder, are we living an alternative reality? Right? But nobody seems to call them out. Nobody seems to call them out. The most misinformation and downright untruths are being said every day. Some of it said this morning in a way that I couldn't believe I was living in the same country. You understand? But nobody calls them out. But I, as Prime Minister of the country, want to unite this country, want people of this country to have one purpose: the development of our country. That's my only purpose, to my sister Lucia to do better, for us to produce more Julian Alfreds. On the way to that, we need everyone to come together. So if that statement was done, I think it should not be done. It should not be said.
St. Lucia has seen a tremendous spike in Google Trends. I think we are the second
what?
most on Google Trends. I think we are the second most search, second most search, yeah, second most search
Oh,
country.
Google. Mm.
Yes, online. I think outside of the U.S. following Julian Alfred's victory. How can we use this opportunity to promote sports tourism in St. Lucia in particular? How can we utilize these opportunities to promote St. Lucia as a destination? Yeah.
You see, again, you send me back. The World Cup was the beginning. Do you know that there was a 10 over us double wicket competition in St. Lucia? Remember that? Probably you may still be at school. Yeah, sports tourism. There's a double wicket competition where we got, I think Fred Flintoff was there, etc. Where Mr. Lawrence supposed to do that, where we started. But that's the value. And this is why we repaired the stadium. That's why we repaired the Darren Sammy grounds. That's why we repaired it. To have facilities for that to happen. The Ministry of Tourism will have to have a plan to see how we can ensure that the searches and the interest in St. Lucia is followed up.
The last time you met at Parliament, I think you made mention of an athlete who would have wanted to compete for St. Lucia.
Yes, Lawrenson, Miss
Yes.
Lawrenson. She got the passport, but I have to find out what really happened.
So, do you think moving forward there'll be more of these
Again,
things?
I even forgot that. The first generation passports, first generation citizenship is something I forgot. Another way we can encourage athletes who are born in the diaspora to work to run for St. Lucia. That's another way that we try to enhance our athletics, our sports people. Yes.
Congratulations on getting more than $80 million worth of publicity for this island based on her publicity.
It's a lot of money. It will be a lot more money.
There's a lot of St. Lucia is in the global news now because of this. So that it points to the fact that Alfred's win it's not just sports. It's really a good piece of business. How do we turn that into opening doors for investment, export, not just tourism on sports tourism, but investment and export? How do we capitalize on the attention the world is showering us with? And two more follow-ups, if I could just put them out right now so that we go faster. Will this have a dramatic effect on investment in sports training, not just facilities, but training for Lucian athletes? And how do we turn this win into a weapon in the struggle against violent crime?
Okay, very good set of questions. You know, the Julian Alfred victory or achievement, right, has almost boundless. The word that comes after that is boundless.
It has unleashed St. Lucia.
And we have to collectively, yeah? You know, when I say collectively, I mean collectively. Collectively, we have to pray together. This is why I have not come in this morning and said, we give this money, I give this, I give now. Collectively, we have to get together. I know what you asked me about somebody said so. Again, I know what you asked me. You know, I mean, let me tell you the problem they have with me. I anticipate them. You know? Because I've been around. I understand these things. I know the history, and this is why you see I can deal in the history. You know? All the players. I know them. I know the history, and I'm a student of history. I'm to read some a bit, and I've been there. So that's why I don't answer to many things, you know, because I know the backstory. I always know the backstory of these things. I know what you ask me. Again, that was euphoria. And, you know, you must understand that politicians are human beings, you know. One guy said, this is a war. You understand? I don't know, but he said it. You understand? Another guy said, if you bust the Prime Minister's head, he understands that. So, yes, I don't know, you want to hear the tape? Yeah, if you bust the Prime Minister's head, make him drink his blood, That'd be good when he travels. That was said on public radio, and the host said, I understand. Yeah, yeah, I understand. He said so. You understand? So these things happen, euphoric moments. People are happy. People, so they say that. Again, it may not have been said at the right time, but I know what you're going to ask me. It is something that should not be said. But again, the same way, you see, you're surprised at the audience. I'm glad you're laughing because you're surprised you know what I'd ask you. I know what you'll ask me. It should not have been said. Don't need to ask it because I answer it.
No, it's not that. I actually wanted to know if the CIP ministers, PMs, had an engagement on the sidelines of the curriculum
No.
of government. Did you all speak?
No. I tell you something. You talk about CIP. Which country? Tell me something. You go back and do your thing. Tell me, what international body has questioned St. Lucia CIP? Which one? Just tell me one. Tell me, what St. Lucian passport that has been identified as being anything you want? Just one. Who? so I'm not getting involved in it. All I'm saying is that no international body, it might happen this afternoon, but as I speak, there's not been one international body that has questioned St. Lucia CIP. Not one. Not one.
And yet the name of the country is being slandered and the government is not taking actual action against the people slandering the name of the country.
Some people think so. But you know, it's something called patience and truth. If you take somebody to court, supposing you, Jason, take somebody to court, and you have all the evidence, what do you do? And you wait. That's what I want to say. I'm saying nothing else. If you have all the evidence in the world, things are so black and white. And I'm not talking about CIP, I'm not talking about anything else. I'm saying to you, if you take somebody to court and you have evidence that is so clear that a 6-year-old child can see, all you do, you sit back and you wait. You sit back and you wait. There's no need to campaign. There's no need to. You just sit back and you wait and you see your time is coming. That's all. And I'm talking about life generally. Once the facts are on your side, you sit back and you wait. Go ahead.
You said campaign. Is your party gearing up for elections?
Boy, from you start getting for elections since the 23rd of July,
Would you
2001.
say that the campaigning season has commenced?
No. We're just going to run election on our record, you know. A record. The election is based on our record. That's all. Our record. Our record in the economy, our record on unemployment, our record. That's all. All right?
Okay, but more serious things. When can we see the commencement of CIP-funded projects? Because there are announcements about the CIP-funded housing and so on. But when can we see something starting?
The Rockhall housing project is at the DCA now. What's there is the plumbing aspect, because you know they have to do they have to have special plumbing because they can't join it into the government sewer because of the way it is. So they have to have a whole set of plumbing issues for waste disposal and things. So that's going to go to planning very soon, the Rockhall project, and I hope that comes to the planning process and we could start. I'd like to give dates because you lose it against me. It will start at the soonest. Okay? But it's one. Then the road project, you saw the sign on the Chaussee Road. There's a sign on the St. Lucia infrastructure project. That hasn't started because there were some insurance issues. You see, a lot of these jobs, these things, they are unforeseen circumstances that had happened. So the chaussee project hadn't started because of some insurance situation as far as the chaussee project is concerned. So you will see that starting very, very shortly. The road projects, they are lined up, but the show will start. We're going to start on the chaussee. We're going to start on the chaussee, and we're going to start in Rockall.
Speaking of roads and patience, motoring public have been patient, especially concerning cul-de-sac. Hopefully it pleases you at least that the roundabout is finally open and that Jaika Bridge is finally being utilized.
Yes, that is some good news.
Yeah.
That's some good news. And the work, since my intervention and the pressure, the work is continuing. But we are also doing work on the other stage, the other lot. The retaining walls have been built, and then we found that we're going to be short of money to complete it. So we have to go to borrow $10 million to complete the second and third lots. So we've started that process. Hopefully it can be smooth sailing from there on. Okay, thank you very much. And continue.
Answering my questions, but hopefully.
We'll do that next time. And let's continue to celebrate Julian Alfred, and let's look to see what can happen tomorrow. If it can win another gold, so you can have 2 gold medals, 2 Nobel laureates. 2 Peters. See you.